Hey guys, welcome to our final tutorial in the materials lab, and today we're going to be showing you the Tribology tester. Now this allows you to test for mechanical and tribological properties of a material. So this machine comes in three configurations in the form of modular drives. The first one is lock-on ring, the second is reciprocating, and the third one is rotational. The one we're going to be focusing on is rotational. Now you won't have to set up these modular drives, they'll be set up for you. You just need to know how to insert and secure your sample. So we're going to go into that. So now when you're securing your sample, there's quite a few plates you have to go through. First, you have two silver plates at the side that holds a brass piece in. So these are held by two yellow thumb screws. You want to loosen the thumb screws, move the plates back, and then you can very carefully bring the brass plate out. Once you bring the brass plate out, that leaves space for you to put your sample in. Now remember, be very careful when you're placing the sample in because there's actually a center hole and a pin. So you have to make sure you line up the hole in your sample and the hole for the pin where the pin is on the plate. Once you do that, you want to use a screw to secure your sample onto the actual drive itself using an Allen key. Make sure you test for the appropriate Allen key beforehand. Tighten it. Once it's tight, you can take the brass plate, put it back onto the sample. But you have to be careful because the brass plate has a little pinhole for aligning the brass plate to the actual drive. So very carefully line up the brass plate to the pin, which is at the edge of the actual drive itself. And once it's lined up, let the brass plate fall into place. Now it's a very, very tight fit, so you don't want to force and jam the plate in. You want to let it naturally fit into the actual drive itself. Once that's done, you can again bring the silver plates back over the brass and tighten it using the yellow thumb screws. Once your sample is secure, you can close the bay doors and then turn on the power for the machine and press the motor button. This will activate the motor so that when you go over to the computer, everything will move. Now there's two other controls we need to talk about, which are the chamber lights and the thermal control. Chamber lights is just to help you see what's going on in the chamber itself. And thermal control is if you need a specific ambient temperature, you can set it and the machine will keep that temperature in the enclosure. So for your labs, you won't really need an ambient temperature, so you don't have to worry about it. We're not going to go over it. Now let's go over to the computer and we'll show you how everything else works. So you want to open the UMT software in the bottom left corner. Once the program's open, you want to click on the script tab in the top left corner. And you can select this icon in the top left and select Open Script. Find the appropriate script and open it. Once the script is open, you can check that each step has the step type load control and that the mode is set to constant load. Once that's done, you can click the Verify Script button up above and it will show you a message window. Once it's confirmed that your script is okay, you can close the message window and you can proceed to click on the manual button. A manual panel will appear allowing us to move the head of our tester. We're going to start with the carriage. Click on the carriage tab. Check that the mode is set to relative. Then check to see if the speed is set to 10 millimeters per second. Once that's okay, we can move over to the distance grouping and select a distance and direction. For this part, you want to start by selecting down. Clicking start will move the carriage according to the set parameters. Clicking start repeatedly will repeat the action. Now, when you're lowering the carriage, you want to pay attention to the machine and ensure that the bottom of the carriage doesn't collide with your sample. Now we're going to go up and click on the slider tab. Make sure the mode is set to relative. And make sure that the speed is no more than 5 millimeters a second. Select your direction under distance and input your desired distance. You can click start repeatedly to move in that desired direction. Once everything's set, you can close or lower the manual panel and we can move on to graphs. Now you want to click on the Graphs button. In the drop-down menu, you want to display these graphs. In this case, we want to start by showing the force graph. the coefficient of friction graph, and finally the Z displacement graph. You can resize your windows and clean up your screen. Once you're happy with the layout of your screen, you can click Script again. And now click the green Start button to run the test. Start Test window will appear, and you can put the number of times you want to run the test and click OK. And now the test will begin. Once the test is done, you can minimize the UMT software. We're going to open the Viewer software in the bottom left. Once it's open, we want to click the Open icon, find our test file, and open. So now you want to select the correct step. The second step is your actual test results. So you want to go below and select the appropriate parameters to analyze. For example, the Z force. Once that's selected, you can apply different functions to your graph. For example, subtract, peaks, and trend. So to demonstrate, subtract, then maximum, peaks and top part set to 0.1. And for trends, we're going to calculate and change the color. And we can change the width of the line. And that's all there is to it. So that has been the rotational motion drive on the Tribology tester. Hope you learned a thing or two in this video, and I hope you found our videos useful. Feel free to leave some feedback in the YouTube comments below, and thanks for watching.